much for giving us a bit of
No
your time.
problem at all.
Quite
Good.
hectic.
No, it's very good.
So we're in Bridgestone Muay Thai, where you just presented an excellent seminar, as usual, about scoring, Muay Thai and judging. It's fair to say that the more knowledge people have about scoring and judging, the better appreciation people gain of the sport. You know.
Definitely, and all spectators as well as coaches and athletes.
That as well, yeah. So just to situate you a little bit for people, you're well known. You're now, and you have been for a long time an authority, the authority on Muay Thai scoring and judging in Europe. So can you remind us, when did you get involved with Muay Thai? When did you start thinking that judging and refereeing was something that interests you?
Yeah, well, initially I did, I guess, normal boxing, so international style boxing and karate as a child, as a youngster. And it wasn't until really quite late, I guess, had a chance to go to Thailand and got absorbed into the Muay Thai scene. So I was already 30. But I went to the stadiums with my coach at the time, so I met a coach who I got very friendly with. Went to the stadiums, and from being from a boxing background, I had no idea what was going on. So I thought, how does this person win? I had no idea. So I really wanted to find out. I don't really like not knowing why something works. So I'm a coach, to be fair, at the time, Pimu, spent every night with me, sitting down, trying to explain things, taking me to the stadiums and saying this is why this boxer won. And I was training lads as well after that, and took lads to and girls, to be honest, to Thailand to fight. And they were winning and doing well, following the same sort of training regime they were doing in Thailand, but they weren't necessarily winning and doing well back in the UK. And so it seemed like, I thought we perhaps ought to have a look at why and get a better understanding.
So obviously you remember the first fight you judged. I say obviously.
Yeah, a long time ago. Well, it has been a long time ago. I was with a group called British Thai Boxing Council, and I can't actually remember the very first fight I judged. I can remember around that time, and the standing was very different, and the things we were looking for were very different then.
And the first, actually in Ireland, the first fight that you were refereeing at, do you remember that?
Again, it's been a lot. I've done a lot, and I can't remember the exact first fight. Again, I've been a lot of times to Ireland and refereeing. So I can't remember the very first fight, but I remember the Irish team at the time, and the lads bringing the first fighters, bringing the first fighters to Muay Thai. So we had Craig O'Flynn, Martin Hogan, Seamus Cogan.
Who's also going back to the ring in
Seamus. Seamus came. I took Seamus to Canada. He fought in Canada and did well in Canada. He stopped the lad in Canada. Yeah. Again, that must have been around 2000 or something, But in the late 90s, I think Will Hastings, one of the fighters who fought and beat Craig O'Flynn, an excellent fight from Ireland at the time. That was about around 96, I think, mid-90s. So it was just prior to then I came to Ireland, so it must have been probably about 1993, 92, 93, something like that. So it was a long time ago.
So in your own Muay Thai circle in England, and by extension Ireland, I suppose, how do you rate now the awareness of coaches and fighters towards the rules, Muay Thai rules and Muay Thai sport? Is it getting better?
Yes, I think it is a lot better. I think there's a couple of reasons. One, having lots of people been exposed to assessments, and we have done lots and lots of assessments over the times and courses, but also the ease of access to Thailand now, and the internet. So there's lots more sharing of information,
lots more resources,
lots more to know. Before, it's very limited, in terms of how you could find out things, but now it's much more readily available. And I guess the youngsters coming through get an appreciation of it. So I guess it's more difficult if you've been doing something for a long time and things change. But if you've been brought up into that system, then I think a lot more people.
Fluid.
A lot more people are aware of it, and the standards improved for all those reasons as well, I think.
There is something. It's been a while now that many are talking about the shift of scoring and judging in the West. So is it mainly to reflect the differences in style, or is it because we don't have the judging experience that Thai officials have? Are we looking at lowering the bar because we can't reach the bar? We don't understand.
I think that's what we were doing. I think now, hopefully we're not. Hopefully now we're trying to play the same game. It was by analogy, it was. I remember having a chat with somebody and saying, well, it's England, it's not, or it's Europe, it's not Thailand. Yeah, but so, and particularly speaking to an American colleague saying, well, but say if we were bringing, and we do play American football in the UK, if we decide to say, well, actually, it's a bit better if you make it a bit more like rugby because we're good at that, and maybe we'll win then. But that's not really American football. Then it's changing the game. And of course, anybody can have any particular style of fighting they want, but to call it Muay Thai and to compete, it really needs to be the same sport.
That's linked to that. In one of your research papers, you were observing the technique used by elite fighters in the West and in Thailand. And you found out that the Thais were using more techniques more often, but at the same time were very focusing on the defense and trying to nullify what their opponents were doing, as opposed to just go forward and be aggressive in whatever way you choose to do so. Is that changing? Is that changing the style now in Europe that people are trying to emulate? A bit more?
I think certainly where it's judged. I mean, again, I think Europe's quite diverse, so I think it'll be quite different in some countries in Europe. But in the UK and Ireland, I think I guess in the end, in some cases, America, which obviously not in Europe, but again a Western perspective, you are seeing. I think if I did that study now, I mean, I deliberately chose fights from when it was judged in a particular way. You'd see a change. I think it'd be closer. So I think now some of the boxers are more, using the similar type of weapons.
Because you were saying also in the same research paper, you were saying that it should be advised to fighters to use punches in order to land potentially more scoring techniques.
To punch in a particular way, or to use punches to get
to open up something better.
The same with the leg kicks and stuff.
And people should strive to get to that level of fighting, as opposed to say, well, I can't kick, but I can punch very well. It'd be nice if it would be scored a different way. So
exactly. We don't want that, because that's how it was a little bit. I think it was a bit. We're quite good at this. Let's make it this. And we don't want it to be that.
So after you end up in doing some K1.
Yes, it's a different style.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's fine. K1's absolutely fine. All those combat sports are fine, but they are their own sports and they're not Muay Thai.
Yeah.
So if you do Muay Thai, for me, it should be Muay Thai, and it's the gold standard's Thailand, and I think boxers are looking more like, it does look, even novices now are looking a bit more like Thais.
Maybe, well, in the West, probably a lot of people would have a background in boxing. Which
they would,
happen all
absolutely.
The time in relation to recent threads on Facebook, and it's always a recurring theme anyway, concerning the influence of gamblers on the outcome of fights. How much of an influence do you really think they have on the decisions?
In Thailand, they can have quite a significant effect on the decisions. It's if the odds are on, gambling is really quite powerful in terms of influence in the stadiums. Gamblers are always there, so in a way, some of the promoters and that are reliant on the support of gamblers, and gamblers, so the gambling odds do without a doubt shape decisions in Thailand. That's not everybody wants that, but there's outcries about it and talk about it. That doesn't happen in the West. So there's arguments in it. There's arguments to say that that's done that because of gambling. I mean, in essence, it's not. Gambling's a separate. It may well have helped shape some of the concrete, the consistency. The reason we are able to get very consistent scores in Muay Thai. Unlike, say, boxing, where there's sort of more variation in scoring consistency, is possibly because in the end, gamblers have required something where there's a concrete outcome and people know who's winning at which point in a fight. But that's not the same as using gambling as changing the result because of odds, which is a completely different thing. So we want to use it is more consistent. Some research papers we've looked at research, and consistency is better, even when you take it out of the Thai context. So it's not just the fact they're Thais. You can train people to be equally consistent, yet they're not influenced by gambling at all. And we certainly.
So are we using that? Are we using the gambler excuse in the West to say, well, it's different over there, and we're saying that it kind of helps us justify moving towards a Western-centric approach to scoring, because it's different. We should score it differently. Yeah,
I think that is an argument that people have put forward, and I think it's not really a valid argument in a sense. It's what we would move to is what we've gone from, which is an inconsistent scoring system that doesn't really value particularly Muay Thai weapons. So it's taking away from the art of Muay Thai in a way to satisfy some sensibilities that we like. We think this should be the case.
It's a cultural thing as well,
Yes,
because in Muay Thai you have the quantity, so you can count the number of strikes if you want, but you have the quality call to do. You say it's content, it's context, it's intent,
it is.
And we don't really like grey areas like that. We kind of shy away. We're scared.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. I think that's true. I think that it's very holistic. There's certainly some evidence that the cultural reasoning, if you like, the reasoning style is holistic, possibly based on language. So it's very contextually based, and it's not in that way. As we might have very definite categories of things. There is, sort of, it's seen holistically, it's seen in context. However, I think given the experiment with amateur boxing, where they tried to press buttons, where I've got goes, I've had research, didn't produce a paper on it, but looked at the consistency. And it isn't even consistent amongst the same judge looking at the same fight some period later. It's very inconsistent. So it seems it's more objective because you're actually counting.
So you have like 80% consistent decisions.
Well,
using Thai
and above,
scoring.
in all honesty. So it can be more. So in a way, we had in the formal study we did where we randomly selected 50 fights from judges who had judged across the year in the UK. We actually had a 97% consistency. I would say we require 80% for people to pass, and generally, anecdotally, outside of that research, I'd say it is pretty high. It's probably 80 plus, possibly sometimes 90 plus, depending on the judges and the experience of the judges and the quality of fights. Sometimes you get real scrappy fights that's quite difficult to determine, or sometimes very close, really skilled fights where it's just nuances.
Yeah, sometimes now. All that being equal, you're like, actually, Muay Thai scoring is quite a fair scoring when you understand it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not unfair.
It's very fair.
It's actually very good.
It's very, very consistent. It's more consistent than a lot of things. It's very, very good. And so I think we certainly shouldn't abandon it. We should put, I know there's talk of some people saying, well, perhaps MMA ought to be judged along the same lines within the context of that sport, because that's very inconsistent, and people are saying, how does this work? And
but they also take into account the fact that you have to sell tickets. Therefore, it has to look a certain way, so people are interested. People who wouldn't know the scoring, don't know Muay Thai at all, and they see a lot of clinch. And for those people, it's annoying. That's what they do. So that would push people to say, I can't sell tickets if we're keeping those rules as well. So I think money comes into.
I think, well, of course it does. I think there's I think certainly that some of the big shows in England sort of sell fairly well, but it is to a particular community. But then I think in a way on the back of that, it's important to have an understanding of the rules and an appreciation of that. And I think partly the commentary on fights, consistent commentary where the commentators understand the sport, helps. Probably more mainstream promotion of it would help. You see MMA, which actually a lot of people say they don't like the grappling on the floor, even though it's very skilled.
Then go and look at Muay Thai, right?
Yeah, but they do watch it because it's very well promoted, and it's exposure's there, so people will, if they get to see things and they get to know it because they're being sort of educated alongside with the commentary, etc., and the exposure, then they actually get to appreciate it. Because a long time ago it was going on why people didn't like clinch in the UK, lots of people, but now people do have more of an appreciation of it. So big shows are filled, it's a skilled thing, and just like jiu-jitsu is on the floor. If people understand it, they appreciate it. If they don't, they don't.
If you keep educating people, then
you do understand it. It becomes, it's not just absolutely. And you're always going to. And I think people who've gone who haven't been Muay Thai fans initially, have gone and thought, well, that's exciting, because there's elbows, there's knees, as long as it's not. The referee shouldn't be just hanging on. It should be. If you're not engaging and not active, you should be broken, and it should, so
Absolutely.
It's action. That's the Thais try and make it exciting. So the referees have a role to play in that. Break the fighters.
The Thai referees are making it exciting themselves. They're quite colourful sometimes.
Absolutely.
They're great. And now, just to finish, a few short and sharp questions. But then your memory.
My memory's very bad.
All right, the favourite fight you refereed.
I think after the favourite fighter has got to be Sanchai's talking style, just because his personality, but also he's very highly skilled, hits very hard, even though he's, not. He looks like he's not, but he is. He's really hard. So Sanchai, but also I'd have to say I've got a couple of personal friends I've refereed with Thais who are like with Duo, Kongadom, and Thailand Pinsinchai. I've also got. It'd be a difficult one to pick. So boxers I don't know personally very well. I do know him to speak to, but not very well. Sanchai, but then Thailand Pinsinchai and Duo because they're close friends as well.
And the best fight you saw? Doing nothing, not working, just watching.
Difficult because there's a few there's a few good fights. So I'd have to say because it was good from a personal perspective. It was Thailand, Pinsin winning the Lumpini title, but so it's more than just saying it's a good fight.
It's it was moment.
Yes, it was important. Yeah, it was an important moment.
Any crazy things happening in the ring while you were refereeing, like
yes,
riots?
Probably. There has been riots, but probably the most unusual thing that the Thais wanted me to get, well, I hadn't got a photograph of, was when somebody actually they messed themselves in a fight. They won, but they got kneed in the body, and actually I walked in the ring and thought, I don't know, I've got something on my shoe, and then it was. Maybe somebody's, because the boy's been a bit, I know this is not great, somebody's throwing some things in here because he's been a bit cocky. But actually, he got kneed in the body and he sort of...
Evacuated. Okay.
Defecated.
That's great.
Which was real weird, but it was. People were taking photographs.
Oh, no.
But the Thais wanted it on the magazine. They wanted to, if you get pictures, we want it in Muay Eireann magazine because we've never seen it here. So I guess that was the weirdest.
You've been coming to Ireland for a while. I think the level of Muay Thai in Ireland has been improving with bigger shows, with people coming on international fights.
Yeah.
And do you have any names of Irish fighters standing out right now?
Well, one's a lot. I mean, obviously, I'm associated again with a few from the past. So Seamus, I really like his heart, I like the style. There's a few lads really that in the who've done really well in the tournament. I mean, the tournament against where we got we had the tournament with Panikos. I think it was a very close fight, and I think it had been 5 rounds. He would have won. Just trying to think of his name.
Clancy,
No. Tall fighter. Just trying to think of his name. Very tall fighter he trained outside of Thailand as well. Yes. Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer I thought was good against Panikos. I thought that was a good fight. Panikos won, but it could have gone anyway. There's been some really exciting fights in the past, to be honest. I mean, in a way, there's some of the lads that I know very well that, like Craig O'Flynn and that, again, who over the years have fought extremely well in Thailand and so. But yeah, there's a lot of good lads coming through.
Are you refereeing?
I'm not refereeing on that one. I've got some,
okay.
no, some of those ones.
Finally, just to have something nice for the end, what's your favourite thing about refereeing?
I guess it's getting to see the fights and knowing the fights. Getting to see the fighters firsthand, because actually the best seat now really is in the ring, to be honest, because you can actually see it. It's all right as a judge, but in the ring you actually do see. Well, luckily you don't quite feel the shots, but you do sort of sense the shots because they're going in. So I guess that's the best thing being.
That's excellent. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
You're in Ireland for the weekend.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
We're just having a look around. My wife Rosh we recently got married, so she's coming around. She's never looked at Ireland before. So she's coming to have a look.
Excellent. It's going to rain all weekend.
Oh, that's normal. I mean, it's done behind really. Very few times it's been sunny. It is exceptionally beautiful when it's sunny though. But
sure it is.
Particularly in the
All right. Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you everyone. Bye now.